Hello, welcome to Talk a Good Game and this match preview of Fulham against West Ham United at Craven Cottage on Saturday afternoon. Gonzo, can you kick us off with your thoughts on the Cottagers, please?
Yeah, they've done remarkably well, really, this season. A bad run of form. I think they might have lost their last 4 games, something like that. I might be wrong. But that aside, they've been in really, they've been a breath of fresh air this season, really. I love the football that the manager plays. Silva, always liked him as a manager, really have. Like his demeanour, like the way he plays football. He's not afraid to have a go at teams, but he's also happy to mix it up a little bit, if I'm honest. Bit jealous, actually, would like him as the West Ham manager. But I like what he's done. He seems to identify players, and not Jay hasn't got to spend big. He seems to have a good knowledge of players around all leagues as well, so he can sort of look and think, okay, well I'll identify that player. That's the player I need for that position, and he gets. Remember, they've done it at West Ham. They've went and got Issa Diop, which looks to be a perfect signing for them, and it's not the only one. Look. They've tailed off a little bit. They've had their bottom smacked as well in recent weeks, which has probably killed off any hopes of that they might have had European football. But the fact that they were even allowed to dream halfway through the season about European football says it all. They've never, ever, ever been in the mix for relegation this season. And that, above everything I've just said in the past 2 minutes that preceded that is just a wonderful, wonderful boast, I think, for them.
I completely agree. I've been very surprised. I thought they'd be in the relegation battle at best. I thought they'd possibly get relegated. I thought they would get relegated, actually. And when I look at their team, I still think there's players in there that perhaps aren't really what I would call Premier League standard. But as a team, they're coming together. They're playing some really, really nice stuff this season. Yes, you're right. They have lost the last 4. But this is what happens when you get some injuries, you get some suspensions, you get to a stage where you're perhaps comfortable. They've almost accomplished what they set out to do. They're almost at that magic 40 points with 10 games to spare kind of thing. I think it's been a wonderful season for them and for Marco Silva as well. And, Fulham fans can really enjoy it because they've been a bit of a yo-yo club and, they're now going to have that stability. It's a very short-term thing. We don't know what next season holds for them. I think it's always difficult to do it the second season. If you stay up the first one, I think it's harder the second season, a bit more emphasis on you. Those players might no longer sort of be good enough for the Premier League that are achieving this season. What you're going to do in the transfer window, I think it's a completely different ball game for them. It'll be interesting to see how they do get on in the summer. But like you said, 28 games played, they can start planning for the summer. A lot of teams can't. We can't because we don't know what's going to happen. But Fulham actually can start planning their summer transfer activity already. And to do that at the start of April, I think it's a brilliant achievement for them. It's almost like the perfect season for them, really, isn't it? Come up, play some nice stuff, stay away from relegation, and like I said, it's April. You're already planning for next season.
And entertaining, Geo. To be able to go to games, to look forward to games, to think you're gonna attack. You're gonna a bit of attack down the middle, some attacking down the wings as well. Striker that's going to score some goals. I'm jealous saying it, actually. I bet they really look forward to their match day, don't they? So that's fair play to them. I like the club as well, by the way. I like the grounds over in Bishop's Park over on the other side of the Thames there. Really pleased they didn't redevelop it. It's got character. It's got personality. I think if the owner had had his way, they'd be playing at Wembley at the moment. That was the ultimate idea. I like it there. It's a good club. It's enough to be Fulham, it's Craven Cottage. It's wonderful. It's got real personality, real identity, and I think I'd take, if I was a Fulham fan, I'd take pride in that. And having seen what's happened to West Ham, I want to see another club dragged away from their spiritual and their traditional home. Far from it's a nice away day as well, actually. I can't speak highly enough about them, really.
Well, let's talk about Mitrovic then. Got an 8-game ban for his, whatever you want to call it, interference. I don't want to use the word assault. I think that's a bit dramatic. His interference with the referee, an 8-game ban. What did you make of that?
Well, I didn't actually see it. Never saw it in the end.
Have you still not gone and watched it?
No, I didn't go and watch it at all. No. For me to even remotely comment on it would be not very accurate at all. So I couldn't say whether it was harsh or whether he should deserve more or anything like that. I can't even really say whether he was a silly boy, but I'm sure he was. I'm sure whatever you're going to say is absolutely accurate about it.
He was definitely a silly boy. He lost his head a little bit. Well, I say a little bit. He lost his head a lot, really. And when the 8-game ban come out, it feels fair, maybe a little bit too harsh, but it feels fair. I'm glad it was anything drastic. There was people calling for big bans, and I thought that was a bit stupid, really. But there needed to be, the tone needed to be set, which is you cannot touch the referee, and you can't get in the referee's face like he did. No. So there needed to be a decent punishment handed out. I think they've done it, actually. I disagree with how they manage a lot of things and a lot of suspensions and whatever, but I think this one, I think they've got it on the money, actually, an 8-game ban. I mean, arguably, is this, forget West Ham, it's difficult, forget West Ham for a second, but between now and then the season, there's not going to be that many teams that you're going to enjoy playing, because when we look at the fixtures of West Ham and other teams, it's like, well, they've all got something to play for. They're either in the fight for European football or they're in the fight for the relegation battle. There's not that many teams in the middle, which is not really playing for either, but Fulham do fit into that category, I feel. And obviously Mitrovic is out. Is this arguably one of the better fixtures that we can ask for, and possibly one of our better fixtures on paper between now and the end of the season?
Yeah, both. But there's another dynamic set. So it's the perfect time to be playing Fulham at the moment, but it's also the perfect time to be playing West Ham, because I mentioned earlier that Fulham are happy enough to mix it up a little bit. There was very much a blueprint given by Newcastle about how to deal with West Ham. And if I was looking at them there, I'd be thinking, well, number one, I would like to face that team. They've been hammered 5-1. They've been hammered 4-1 recently. There's a ramshackle defence, lacking in confidence, and are probably susceptible to some direct play as well. So, yes, I think for all the reasons you said, that you hope that they've got the old beach towels out and all the rest of it, and haven't got a lot to play for, it is the right time to play Fulham. But yeah, make no mistake about it, this is absolutely the right time to play West Ham. And if they could have chosen a fixture, I know they've got 8 of them, but if they could have chosen a fixture where they didn't have their top striker, and they might still get some points, and you'd be looking at West Ham and think, oh, I'll choose them, because actually we don't need to be our best to score goals against them.
I don't know if they mix it up that much, in all honesty. I don't know if I agree with that. Whenever I've seen Fulham, it's the same every week to some extent. 4-2-3-1. Even when Mitrovic is out, they're sort of, Vinicius isn't quite as good up there. They tried Reed up there against Brighton, wasn't very effective at all. And even without Mitrovic, they still kind of play the same way, just with a Mitrovic shaped hole at the top of their teams. I'm hoping they don't mix up this weekend. But
yeah. Absolutely. No, I meant, I think I might have seen them against Man United or something. They were happy enough to put a long ball in there as well. I'm not sure I could have much of enough to say that they changed their tactics, but it wasn't all. I think when he was at Hull, possibly it was a lot of it was very tippy tappy, a lot of short passes. Like when I watched him, I thought, hold on, he's quite happy to throw, a 40-yard ball in there and all the rest of it, and stretch him, and that would be a real weak point for us at the moment. Is what I meant.
Gonzo, what's your favourite thing about HelloFresh?
I'll tell you my favourite thing about HelloFresh, actually, is it's taught me to try recipes that I hadn't tried before. It's taught me to cook a curry, if I'm perfectly honest, because when I ordered my box off of them, I chose this chicken tikka butter masala curry, and I would have been too daunted to do it. But because the way they deliver it, it's got all the ingredients set out for you. It's got them all bagged up, and it's some really clear, concise instructions. And actually, I had been making the curry. The curry was delicious. Obviously, a lot of it's down to HelloFresh. But obviously, I played some part. I think I cooked it majestically, if I'm honest. And since then, I've thought, you know what? I'm going to try that. So I've added another dish to my repertoire. I'll tell you what I do really like as well. By the time, because I only give you as much as you need, I'm not left over with a load of rubbish in the fridge at the end of the week, which I'm ended up throwing out in the food bin and stuff like that. So, yeah, mate, I love it.
And this video, as you can probably guess, is in collaboration with HelloFresh, who save you time. And with the Hammers Chat offer, we're saving you a little bit of money. Now, last night before the Newcastle game, I did a build-up show with Gonzo, and then the kickoff was half an hour later. So I had very little time in between both. However, this is where HelloFresh is perfect for me. So last night, I had the stir-fried honey sesame beef noodles. They were delicious. But as you can see there, 25 minutes to cook it from start to finish. Very simple recipe, easy to follow steps. Guide by guide. There you go. There's Gonzo's one. HelloFresh deliver you the food that you ask for. You get it all out. You follow their step-by-step recipe. And before kickoff, I was sat down with a nice bowl of honey sesame beef noodles. They're very, very delicious as well. Like Gonzo said, good way of mixing up what you normally have. We're all fed up of having pasta bolognese every single week, aren't we? We all have pasta. We do, don't we? Everyone has pasta bolognese quite often. It's simple, but HelloFresh food is simple as well. The offer with Hammers Chat is 60% off your first box, plus 25% off your next 2 boxes, plus free gifts as well. To get that offer, click the link that's in the description underneath this video, or use the code HammersChat or the QR code that's on your screen right now. Just go onto your camera on your phone, point at your screen, click on the QR code, and it'll take you straight to HelloFresh with the offer activated. Save yourself a little bit of time, a little bit of money, a lot of waste, like Gonzo said, but you get delicious foods, recipes you probably never thought of, but you will enjoy. Gonzo, speaking of enjoying, is there any players of Fulham that you admire?
Yes, I tell you, I've seen a couple of the games recently. Anthony Robinson's playing well. He's developed into a player that I never thought he would. If I'm honest, I just thought he was all pace and no substance, if you want. But no, he looks really, really good for them. Then Pereira as well. Oh, they stole from Manchester. Well, they probably didn't steal him. They probably bought him legitimately.
Yeah.
Who they purchased from Manchester United. He looks to have developed into a good player. Suits him really well. He's got a nice blend of athleticism and skill as well. I think he's really well suited to the Premier League. We obviously won't talk about Mitrovic now, but and I think the centre back pairing's done him really well as well. Geo, to be fair, I know Toysin was there from before, but he was good things were thought of him at Man City. He was meant to be the future, and well, I guess he is just not Manchester City's future. He's Fulham's future and present. So yeah, I really like what they've done, and I'm penny for Issa Diop sorts. I bet he's thinking, I'm really glad I pushed that move through. Actually,
Leno, a nod to him. Really, statistically, one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League this season. What looked like a bit of a iffy signing, if I'm honest with you, when they got him in, is one of those players. Is he really at Premier League level? A bit like what Issa Diop was. Is he really the right player to get in? Actually, the answer has been yes to both of them. I think Reed still baffles me. I've never been Reed's biggest fan. Harrison, this is not Bobby, and he still performs really well. I thought he was excellent against Bournemouth last weekend for them. Palhinha is the one player that stands out every time I watch Fulham. I do think he's some. When he arrived, there's a lot of players when they come to the Premier League at clubs that I've never seen, but they come with a big, or I've maybe heard of them, but I've never seen them play. And they come with a reputation, and sort of journalists, if you like, get quite excited about it and say, "Oh, what a signing this is a bit of a coup kind of thing." And Palhinha had that vibe, although I couldn't really, I had nothing to go on. So I was like, okay, we'll see how this turns out. He is some player though. If he was a bit younger, he's one of those players I wouldn't mind if West Ham went after to try and replace Declan Rice, if we could get him. I think he's a top talent. And also Solomon, he was someone I was excited to see to come to Fulham, to see him in the Premier League, because I'd seen him quite a bit, playing for Israel more than anything, and got injured at the start of the season. When I did the preview for the last Fulham game, I remember saying to you, I'm disappointed not seeing him. I was looking forward to it. Well, he's now in the team, and he's scored a couple of cracking goals as well. And he's a real talented player, Solomon. Somebody that worries me a little bit, and I agree with what you said about Pereira. I think he's having an excellent season. And it's a little bit like the Jesse Lingard-esque thing, which is you're not good enough for one of those teams, but a club underneath the likes of Man United and that take you in, make you the focal point and get the best out of you. I think Fulham are doing to Pereira what West Ham did to Jesse Lingard, really. Give him a home and get the best out of that. And actually, those rejects from those top clubs are still really good Premier League players. They just need the right fit for them. And there's evidence at Fulham. Now, shall we talk about West Ham?
Yes, indeed.
Well, the early team news is that only really Gianluca Scamacca is out. David Moyes in the press conference ahead of the game against Newcastle United confirmed that Gianluca Scamacca will be out for a couple of weeks, so he was ruled out for this game against Fulham. But other than that, Moyes has, once again, a very, very strong squad at his disposal. But we're not going to discuss what Moyes is going to do. We're going to discuss what we would like to see happen at Craven Cottage on Saturday. Gonzo, I know what you're going to say, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Goalkeeper?
Yes, well, I'd definitely like a goalkeeper, please.
Areola?
Yes, indeed. Yes, we'll have him. Yeah,
I agree with you. I'm doing my flip-flop thing. Yeah, Fabianski was poor, at fault. And this is where if Moyes is going to be ruthless with some players, he's got to be ruthless with the goalkeeper as well. Talk me through. Well, actually, would you like to see a formation change or?
Yeah, I will, but I'll probably keep the back four. I have thought about the three, but only to facilitate playing two up front. But I'm going to keep a four and play two up front anyway. So I'm actually going to play a four. You'll like this because there's lots of 2-2s in it. I'm going to play a 4-2-2-2.
So would I, Gonzo.
So, would you?
Potentially
Cheeky.
got a match here. I think our
Cheeky.
defence will match. Take me through your back four.
Well, I don't know. Not sure. Well, so I'm going to play Sufal at right back. I'm going to play Zuma. I'm going to bring Ogbonna back in, and I'm going to play Emerson.
You're going to drop a Gerd.
I am going to drop a Gerd, yeah, because I think by playing Ogbonna, it will make us sit a little bit. Our defensive line doesn't mean the team. I want the team deeper, but our defensive line a little bit deeper. And it's fine. There's not going to be a massive gap between the central midfield and forwards. Because I'm actually going to play two holding players anyway. But I just think having Ogbonna there will perhaps sit us a little bit back. And I'm sick. And let's be fair, Gerd's my man of the match for Southampton, so it's nothing against the Gerd. But for too long, people are too guaranteed their places, and I'm absolutely sick of it. And he's not the worst culprit, by the way. Fabianski, certainly Souček are far worse culprits for it. But I think, a message needs to be sent out. Actually, if you play badly, then you're not in the team. So, yeah, I would play. Ogbonna did nothing wrong at all. And I'll tell you what, since he hasn't played, a lot has gone wrong. So bring Ogbonna back in.
I think you've almost convinced me, actually. I was going to go with Sufal, Zuma, Gerd and Emerson. And listening to you and also thinking, how can I argue? He was at fault. And he's been at fault for numerous goals in the last few games as well. So, do you know something? I'm going to switch. I never do this, but I think I'm going to agree with you. You sort of convinced me, actually, that Ogbonna should start. Because it's what you summed it up at the end there, which is Ogbonna did nothing wrong. And when he hasn't played, there's a lot gone wrong. And I quite like that. And also, he is a leader. We know he's got that leadership about him. When I watched there was clips after the Southampton game when we won, which Ogbonna played no part in. He was celebrating in the tunnel and stuff. And I thought, I just like that. When players aren't involved, it's very easy for them to get a little bit petty and not really. And I understand it. They don't want to get involved in celebrations because they haven't played a part in the game. It can be a bit difficult. But Bonner was there whooping and cheering. I thought, there's a guy that's important in that changing room. So, yeah, you've convinced me. I'll give it. You've convinced me. Bonner at the back. Why not? I think, actually, whether he plays Vinicius or Bobby Reid up front, I expect us to handle them okay, the centre-backs. I don't think it's a terrifying prospect with either of those. When we played them at the London Stadium, Mitrovic was out for that game as well, wasn't he? And we handled Vinicius very, very... It was an easy game for us that night, and Vinicius was the focal point up front. Moving into midfield then, I think I know who you're going to go for, but who's the base of your 2-2-2?
Is Flynn Downs and Declan Rice. But I do feel if a game starts to expand a little bit, we can allow Declan just to move forward and join the two attacking midfielders who are going to be in front of him. So, Declan Rice and Flynn Downs, certainly.
And who's your attacking midfielders then?
Lanzini and Paqueta.
This is interesting. Well, I'm going to have to ask you your strikers now in order, because...
Yeah, it's Jared Bowen and Mikel Antonio, because I do think they will both naturally pull out a little bit wide and give us some width. But they will also. But I do want to see them as a partnership as well. I'd also like to see any space they do create that Paqueta and Lanzini coming through. We're gonna attack. Well, so we're not going to attack. We're going to be crap, right? But in my world, we're going to attack, right? In my team is attacking. There's enough of a solid base there. There really is, but I just think, absolutely go for it. I want to move their defence around, and by starting those two strikers who are both capable of moving wide, both happy enough to go through the middle and shoot as well, by the way, it will create space, pull centre backs out of position, and just I'll say to Paqueta, don't worry about all that, just, and Lanzini, they've got those two behind you. You crack on, play some one. That's what I want to see between Lanzini and Paqueta. Play some 1-2s. Let's get it. Let's give them something to worry about. Let's do something totally and utterly different, because let's be fair, we've seen doing the same and it's crap.
I'm quite liking your team, actually. I'm not going to lie. I used to talk about solid base. I don't have that in my team. I'm basically going gung-ho for this one. Yeah. I want to see the kitchen sink thrown at Fulham. We need to win. A draw's not good enough. We need to win. And how can you have confidence in your defence keeping a clean sheet after what we saw against Newcastle? You can't have that. So the expectation is we're going to have to score at least 2. We might even need to score 3 in order to win on Saturday afternoon. So we better make sure that we've set the team up in order to get those goals. We've not scored a goal from open play since the middle of February or something. It's not. We need to rectify that. We cannot rely on set pieces. We need to rectify that. And we need to change that by personnel, but also just attacking options on the pitch. Just having an extra attacking option on the pitch. It's done now. We cannot try and do what we did against Southampton, which is grind out 1-0 victories. We're not good enough at it. It was only good enough because Southampton are crap. Fulham are not crap. Fulham are a well organised, well drilled team. They're not the best team in the world. You know, they've lost the last 4. Our form is very similar. I think we've both won 2, drawn 3, and lost 1 or something in the last 6 in the league. I don't know. We've got similar patches of form going into this one in terms of the league, but we need to go for this one. We need to go for it. So I would like to see Rice and Paqueta in midfield, and I'm aware that's a bit, there's not much protection for your back 4 there. I don't care. I'm fed up now. I'm fed up with this defensive first thing. I want goals. I want attacking football. Bowen and Cornet on the sides with Ings and Antonio up front. I want goals.
Yeah, for sure.
Who's our most likely goal scorer? Probably Danny Ings. Well, okay, how do we get the best out of him? Someone next to him, please. We cannot have this stupid thing that we had against Southampton at the end and at the end against Newcastle where Ings is up front on his own. We can't do it. We need someone next to him. If it was Bowen, I wouldn't be against that, but I think Antonio played okay against Newcastle. I don't think he was excellent. I think he had a decent game. Justifies maybe a shot against Fulham next to Danny Ings and Cornet on the left. I haven't been that impressed by Ben Rama in recent weeks. He's okay. We know he's a good option off the bench. Let's give Cornet a chance. And I think the other 3, Bowen, Paqueta and Rice, pick themselves, really. 3 of the first names on the team sheet. But we need changes, Gonzo. We need changes.
We do, and I'm far from confident. I mean, I am really hoping he is not in the job by the time we get to Fulham.
Well, he will be. It's been sort of half confirmed, hasn't it? You know, Sean West and Jacob Steinberg and that saying that, but they're not really good. They're not coming to anything prior or beyond Fulham. They're basically saying he's here for the Fulham game, but
yeah, I know. I've been privy to it. This when we're releasing this video.
Like 5 o'clock this evening. Depends when HelloFresh approve it, really.
Okay, so I've been privy to this, to this conversation anyway. So I'm aware of it. That's been the case, but still, nonetheless, I still think it's a very, very bad tactic, and it's really one thing I have. I ultimately realised is that there is no recognition in the hierarchy at West Ham of what is actually going on, of the frustrations of the fans are barely noticed. Actually, I think it's fair to say that, and our concerns, our worries about the team are not mirrored in what we see at the top of the club. They're not as worried as we are. They don't see the lack of motivation in the team. They don't see the obvious tactical flaws. They don't see a manager stood on the touchline with his hands in his pockets while the opposition manager basically outsmarts him. They don't see this stuff. So yeah, I don't have much faith that it will change, but it certainly must, because actually the teams that we suggest, that's what an opposition manager, a new manager, would come in and do. And I just think David Moyes is stuck. He's stubborn and he's stuck. And there's no shifting him. And I mentioned this when we did our Patreon player ratings. The more criticism he gets, the worse it gets, the more entrenched he becomes, the more he remains stuck, the more he remains stubborn. And it's the most frustrating thing to witness a manager incapable of change, overseen and managed by an ownership who are completely oblivious to his shortcomings. And it's actually the people on the ground, and it's the fans, and I think it's pretty safe ground by saying this, the players, who by the way were at fault for a lot of the stuff. Let's just get that right. It happened against Newcastle. But the fans and the players know what's going wrong with David Moyes. Unfortunately, David Moyes doesn't know what's going wrong with David Moyes, and neither does David Sullivan.
What a horrible 2 minutes listening to you there.
Sorry.
I know it's true. That's the worst thing. It's just not a nice picture to paint. It's just the truth, but it's also sad, I guess. Anyway, I was going to promote Patreon, but I don't feel like it. I'm not that enthusiastic.
You get more of that. If you like that, if you want to be more depressed, come and sign up for Patreon.
You like more grumpy Gonzo with depressive news.
Yeah, Patreon.com/Hammers Chat.
Yeah, but I need to be enthusiastic to promote Patreon. I'm like, hey, you want more content? You've sucked the enthusiasm out of me now.
I'll tell you what, you can do. Get your player ratings. You can get your roasted duck breast in a red currant shoe. What more do you want, eh? Brilliant.
Anyway, if you want to join Patreon, it's where we put up more videos, more content, and you can support the channel from £3.60 per month. Patreon.com/Hammers Chat, or the links in the description below. That's as enthusiastic as I'm getting after Gonzo sucked it all out of me. This Gonzo, this is another must win again. A week later, we're back to must win. You're looking at the fixtures, you're scoring out about half of them, thinking, well, no chance. Arsenal, City away. And then you're left with a handful. And this is one of the games that is within the handful that you think maybe.
Is it Saturday or Sunday?
It's on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I'm dreading it. I'm dreading it. I'm just dreading it. It's a terrible thing not to look forward to a game, isn't it?
Do you know the worst thing though? I was dreading the Newcastle game because of Newcastle, right?
Yeah.
Because of us as well, but because of Newcastle. The Fulham one, I'm dreading it just purely because of West Ham. I think Fulham are a well-organised team, but they can be beaten. They've lost their last 4. This is a game where we should be feeling actually we can get something from this. And sometimes I'm telling myself we can, but I don't really believe it. My own voices in my head are almost fighting with one another. One says, hang on, they're not that great at the minute. You could get something. I think, no. 17 teams in the Premier League can maybe get something there on Saturday. We are one of the 2 remaining teams that can't get something in the Premier at Craven Cottage on Saturday afternoon. It's just, there's no confidence, no optimism. It's a massive game. I'm dreading the worst. I hate it. I hate feeling like this. I absolutely hate it. Football is about hope for me. What do you want? At the start of the season, I hope we win a cup, whether it's the FA Cup or the League Cup. I hope we see some good football. I hope we can sign 1 or 2 new players that bring a little bit of excitement with us. I hope a couple of players make the breakthrough from the academy. I start with hope. I've got nothing at the minute. None. I almost want to say I hope we see 2 up front, but I can't because I know there's no chance of it. I know there isn't. I think we'll probably revert back to Danny Ings on his own up front at Craven Cottage because the Antonio thing didn't quite work. So we'll put Ings back up front. Same formation, same team. Thomas Souček, I imagine he might still start. Why, I don't know, but there was no justification for him starting against Newcastle, but he did. There's even less reason for Fulham, but I've got no hope that Moyes will change it. None. I'm just expecting the same team, the same performance, the same crap tactics, and the same outcome, which is a defeat, in all honesty.
Yeah, well, and it's not just hope; it's also meant to be a little bit of entertainment. We've spoken about what Fulham fans must be rocking up to Craven Cottage, thinking, "Oh, we're going to have a good day out. We're going to enjoy today." There's no entertainment. There's no joy. There's no joy in watching West Ham. That book you're reading is better than West Ham. That series you're watching on Netflix is better than West Ham. I mean, the Mandalorian is probably worse than West Ham. But most things are better than West Ham. And honestly, I look at Saturday and I think Saturday can't come slowly enough, really.
It's bad, isn't it? It's really bad. The bit, almost like the worst thing is I've got more hope for results going our way at the weekend than our own result going our way. And that's just bonkers. At least when you're at the top, you're thinking we'll win, but hope someone else doesn't win kind of thing. But when you're down the bottom, you're thinking we're going to lose. I just hope they also lose as well. The problem is there's a lot of teams around us playing each other at the weekend, and obviously they can't both lose. So someone's picking up points somewhere. And we're one of the teams playing someone outside the relegation zone. So it gives you an opportunity actually just to get ahead of the game kind of thing. But have you got any optimism at all for this one? Or?
Yeah. Ridiculously, yes. Okay, so firstly, I think David Sullivan might suddenly wake up. What's happened? What's going on? Oh my goodness, how did that happen? And then he's sacked. So there's a little bit of hope there, a fool's hope, granted. I also do think that we are quite capable of beating Fulham. There were times during the game against Newcastle where we attacked them, and I think, you know, had things gone a little bit differently, maybe for Jared Bowen and for Antonio, we might have scored a goal or two. I think if we could go a goal or two up against Fulham, I think there is a chance. But I, you know, I also feel that there may well be a draw in there, which, you know, could possibly be an absolutely terrible result, because actually looking at the fixtures, I don't know about the one, but this does seem like one of the better ones, you know, that we're going to get out 3 wins for. That's assuming that 3 wins yields the necessary points tally to remain in the Premier League. But yeah, there's a little bit of hope there, but ultimately it is just enough hope to sort of scrape by and stay in the Premier League. You know, ultimately it's absolutely dire, and I'm dreading everything, and it will take hope and it will take luck, and that's all I'm clinging to, because I can't cling to any evidence or any tactics or any momentum to try and look at the game and think, yeah, we'll win that. I think throughout the club we're looking at complete and utter ineptitude. Can we get a bit of luck and mask over that ineptitude enough to get 9 more points? I don't know. That's all I'm hoping.
Yeah, my optimism more comes from the Fulham side of thing, which is they have lost their last 4, albeit I saw bits of the game against Bournemouth. I thought they actually played quite well in the first half, Fulham. But Bournemouth ultimately went on to win the game. No Mitrovic. I don't feel them half as much without him up front, kind of thing. Like I said, Fulham, are they on the beach yet? I don't know. But like I said, they've lost the last 4. So my optimism comes from there. Like I said, I do think most other clubs, I'd fancy them to go to Craven Cottage and get something on Saturday. But when it comes to us, I just can't really do it. And I'm trying. Maybe it's because it's too soon after the Newcastle game. We're recording this preview. Well, saying that, the game comes 3-4 days after the game. So it's forced upon us, kind of thing. But yeah, I'm just very, very little optimism. I'll tell you what, the team sheet comes out on Saturday afternoon and there's changes, then I'll start to feel optimistic. Yeah. But I can't bring myself to believe there will be numerous changes in order to trigger that optimism. And that's what's getting me down more than anything. Can I get any final words from yourself, Gonzo, as well as your all-important score prediction?
I don't have a lot of final words. I think I've talked myself into depression, quite frankly.
And all the viewers, sorry.
Yeah, so apologies. Yeah, don't forget to sign up for those extra videos, eh? What can I say? It's really hard to get any sort of hope and any confidence, and any scoreline that I say in my mind right now, I'm thinking I've had 2 or 3 have gone from my mind, sounds ridiculous. I think, well, they all sound ridiculous. So I actually feel that it might be a 1-1 draw.
Do you know something? I actually feel a draw, because then we have a big issue with the manager, which is, well, now what? You know, if he's only got the Fulham game and we draw, now what? Is it a must win or is it a must not lose? What is it, kind of thing? And I felt like this on a couple of occasions now, where I think a draw is a very, very dangerous result for West Ham at the weekend, whereas maybe doesn't get the manager sacked, but it's not enough for your league either. So actually, it's a very, very dangerous thing. So I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to say Fulham 1, West Ham 1. And I think we're going to have a nightmare situation on our hands, because I think we'll be back in the bottom 3 because of the other games around us. And we're going to have this dithering in regards to the manager's future. And time is running out, and time is running out fast. These fixtures are still coming thick and fast. We've got a jam-packed April. We've got the European games next week as well to deal with. So in terms of getting rid of a manager and employing one, there's not a lot of time. We need to be decisive. And everything you just said 10 minutes ago, all it spells is, first of all, being unaware, and second of all, being slow to react, being slow to decide anything. And that is a very, very dangerous thing at this point of the season. We cannot afford that. So yeah, I'm going to go for draw. Shall we leave it there, my friend?
Yes, indeed.
Let us know what you think in the comments. Hopefully some of you are a little bit more optimistic. I mean, despite all that, we're predicting a draw for West Ham at the weekend. But if you enjoyed the preview, please do drop a like on it. It helps the channel out. Subscribe if you're new to Hammers Chat. HelloFresh deal is below. And also, if you want to join Patreon, that's below as well. Myself and Gonzo, we'll catch you in a bit.